Right now, while this video is playing, there could be an official letter already sitting in your mailbox or on its way to you this week, and it may be talking about money that could belong to you. Not a rumor, not a fantasy, not a maybe someday promise. Real payments that, for certain people, can add up to as much as $2,000 when different legitimate programs and corrections stack together. And yes, it can involve Social Security retirement, SSDI, SSI, and a few low income programs that many people qualify for without realizing it. Here's the part most people don't like hearing. The government rarely announces these kinds of things in a loud, simple way. There's no giant banner across your television telling you, hey, check your mail, you might be owed money. Instead, you'll often see it show up as a notice, a statement, a correction letter, a policy update, or a confusing message that's written in bureaucratic language. If you're not paying attention, it's easy to miss. And missing it can mean missing deadlines, missing forms you needed to return, or missing the chance to confirm an underpayment and get it fixed. So today, we're going to do something simple. We're going to slow the whole thing down and lay it out clearly. What kinds of payments are people talking about in 2025? Why are letters going out? Who is most likely to see them? What's real and what's hype? And most importantly, what should you do if you get one of these letters so you protect yourself from scams while also protecting your right to the money you may be entitled to? Before we go any further, let's set the expectations correctly. When people hear up to $2,000, some start imagining a guaranteed check for everyone. That is not how this works. Not everyone gets a big lump sum. Some people get nothing because they already received everything correctly, or they don't qualify for the state programs being discussed. Some people might only see a modest adjustment. And some people, especially those who have a correction on their record plus a state rebate or an assistance payment, can see totals that approach that upper range. So the goal here isn't to hype you up. The goal is to help you understand what is legitimate, what the letters mean, and how to respond the smart way. Because one of the biggest mistakes people make is reacting emotionally. They either toss the letter out because they assume it's junk or a scam, or they get overly excited and respond too quickly to something that turns out to be fraudulent. You want neither of those outcomes. You want calm, verified, step-by-step action. Now, the confusion online is happening because several different categories of payments are getting mixed together in conversations. People hear the word stimulus, someone else says rebate, another person says dividend, and then someone else mentions back pay from Social Security. Those are not all the same thing. They come from different sources, follow different rules, and require different steps. First, there are correction payments and adjustments linked to Social Security retirement benefits and SSDI. These happen when records are updated, when cost of living changes are applied, or when an underpayment is discovered and must be corrected. Second, there is SSI, which is needs-based. SSI is its own system with different rules, different checks, and different reasons for adjustments. Because SSI involves ongoing eligibility reviews, it's not unusual for corrections to happen when the system recognizes someone was paid too little for a period of time. Third, there are state-level rebates or dividend-style payments. These are not federal Social Security payments. They come from state budgets and state rules. Some states issue refunds because of budget surpluses. Some have special programs that return money to residents. Some payments are linked to filing a state tax return, and others are linked to certain income ranges or residency requirements. Fourth, there are low-income assistance programs that can lead to cash payments, credits, or retroactive help, depending on the program. Examples include help with prescription drug costs through Medicare-related assistance, energy assistance programs, and property tax relief in certain states for seniors or people with disabilities. All of these can involve real money, and yes, letters can be the first sign something is happening. Let's talk about Social Security retirement benefits first. In 2025, cost of living adjustments are in effect. For most people, those changes show up automatically. You do not have to apply for the cost of living increase itself. If you're receiving Social Security, the adjustment is built into the system. But here's what many people don't realize. The Social Security Administration also updates and corrects records. Sometimes those corrections happen because of updated earnings information. Sometimes they happen because a calculation was off. Sometimes a change in your benefit category triggers a review. Sometimes there are complex situations involving dependents, survivor benefits, or receiving more than one type of Social Security benefit. When the system identifies an underpayment, meaning you should have received more than you did, there are procedures to correct it. That can mean future payments are adjusted, and in some cases, a lump sum is issued to make up the difference. That's where some of these letters come from. They're not always just routine statements. They can be explanation notices that say your benefit amount changed, or that you're receiving a correction, or that a prior amount was recalculated. Now, SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance, follows many of the same patterns as retirement benefits because it's also based on work history and payroll taxes. If you qualify for SSDI, you paid into the system, so cost of living adjustments apply, corrections can apply, and record updates can apply. There's another SSDI detail that catches people off guard: transitions near retirement age. For many individuals, SSDI benefits can convert to retirement benefits at full retirement age, and the system may reconcile differences in the background. Sometimes this reconciliation is straightforward and nothing unusual happens. But sometimes it creates confusion because a letter arrives showing changes, new numbers, or different language than what you're used to. And when someone sees unfamiliar figures, their first reaction is often fear. The key is understanding that a change on paper doesn't automatically mean something bad. Sometimes it is simply administrative, and sometimes it is a correction that benefits you, but you will not know unless you read the notice and verify it through official channels. Now let's talk about SSI, because SSI is not the same as Social Security Retirement, or SSDI. SSI is Supplemental Security Income, and it is needs-based. It does not require you to have a long work history. It is for people with limited income and limited resources, including seniors and individuals with qualifying disabilities. Because SSI is needs-based, the system is constantly monitoring eligibility factors. Your income changes, your living situation changes, your state supplement rules can change, and the agencies sometimes share information that triggers a review. In some cases, people are paid too little due to errors, missing information, or incorrect assumptions in the calculation. If that happens, a correction can be issued. These corrections can be small, like a few $100s, but if the underpayment lasted several months, the total can grow quickly, and if it lasted longer, a correction can become a significant lump sum. Again, the letter is often your first clue. The letter may not sound friendly or easy to understand, but it can be pointing to real money you're owed. Now, state-level payments. This is where people hear terms like dividend or rebate and assume it's some new national program. It usually isn't. Most of the time, these are state initiatives. One of the most well-known examples people talk about is Alaska's program, but other states have issued various refunds, rebates, and surplus-related payments in different years. California has issued middle-class tax refund payments in the past. Colorado has had Tabor-related refunds. New Mexico has issued rebates. Each state has its own rules, timelines, and eligibility requirements. Some require a state tax return. Some require residency during a specific period. Some have income caps. Some target seniors or residents on fixed incomes. And here's the important part. If your state is doing something like this in 2025, the official notification may come by mail. It might come as a notice that looks boring. It might come as a letter from a Treasury Department or Revenue Department. And because it doesn't look exciting, people throw it away. That is how money gets missed. Now let's talk about low-income programs that interact with Social Security, SSDI, and SSI. This is a major area where eligible people miss out because they simply never got enrolled or they didn't realize they qualified. One example is a Medicare-related program often known as Extra Help, also called the Low-Income Subsidy, which assists with prescription drug costs for people who meet certain income and resource guidelines. Depending on individual circumstances, people can receive assistance that reduces costs substantially, and in some situations, adjustments can be made when eligibility is confirmed. There are also energy assistance programs that help cover heating and cooling costs. Many people know these by names like LIHAP, although the details and application processes can vary by state. Some assistance comes as a direct payment, some as a credit, and some as help that goes straight to the utility provider. But again, letters and notices can be part of how you learn you might qualify. Property tax relief programs are another one. Many states have programs for seniors, people with disabilities, or low-income households that reduce property taxes or provide rebates. The details vary widely by location. What ties all of this together is one simple idea. The system is fragmented. Different agencies handle different programs, and communication is often confusing. That confusion causes people to either ignore legitimate notices or respond to fake ones. So now, let's get practical. What should you do if you receive a letter that mentions a payment, a correction, a refund, a rebate, or a benefit adjustment? First, do not panic. Panic causes mistakes. Second, do not ignore it. Ignoring it can cause you to miss a response deadline. Third, and this is critical, verify the letter is legitimate before you take any action that involves personal information, bank information, or any kind of processing step. If the letter claims it is from Social Security, do not automatically call the phone number printed on the letter. Instead, go directly to the official Social Security website and use the contact information you find there, or call the official Social Security Administration number listed on the official site. Tell them you received a notice and want to confirm it's real. They can check your account and confirm whether there is an adjustment, a correction, or any action required. If the letter is from a state agency, use the same approach. Do not trust a phone number just because it is printed on a paper that looks official. Go to your state's official website and find the contact page for the Treasury, Revenue, or Benefits Agency. Then contact them through the official number or official portal. This extra step can save you from becoming a victim of fraud because scams are a serious issue and they are getting more sophisticated. Scammers know that people in 2025 are paying attention to words like stimulus, rebate, benefit increase, and back pay. So they design fake letters and messages that look legitimate. They may include logos. They may include official-sounding language. They may use threats and urgency. They may say you need to act immediately to avoid losing benefits. Here are the red flags you must remember. The government will not ask you to pay a fee to receive a benefit. They will not demand gift cards, wire transfers, or cryptocurrency. They will not threaten you with arrest because you didn't confirm something on the spot. They will not call you and ask for your full Social Security number if they initiated the call. And they will not pressure you to act right now or lose everything. If you see threats, urgency, weird payment requests, or demands for sensitive information, assume it's a scam until proven otherwise. Do not engage. Report suspicious contact to appropriate consumer protection authorities. Now, let's address the money amounts directly, because that's what most people are wondering about. When you see up to $2,000, that number is not random. It is based on realistic stacking of legitimate payments in some situations. Here's a simple example of how totals can add up. Suppose an underpayment happened for 6 months, and the difference was about $200 per month. That's around $1,200 in back pay. Now, suppose a state rebate program issues a one-time $600 refund for eligible residents or seniors. Now you're at $1,800. Now suppose an energy assistance payment or credit adds another $300. Now you're over $2,000. That is how the math works. Not one single check, but multiple legitimate sources that, in some cases, can arrive in the same general period. But let's be clear, not everyone will receive multiple payments. Some people will only see the regular monthly benefit change from the cost of living adjustment. Some will see nothing at all because their record is already correct and their state is not issuing rebates. The point is not that everyone gets $2,000. The point is that real money exists in these systems, and some people are missing it simply because they don't understand what is happening or they ignore the letters. Now, the cost of living adjustment piece in 2025 is important because it often triggers questions. People see their deposit change and they assume something is wrong. Or they see the deposit rise, and then they hear about Medicare premiums rising, and they worry the increase will disappear. Here's what matters. Medicare premiums are often deducted from Social Security checks. When Medicare costs change, it can affect your net deposit amount. And there are protections that, in certain situations, prevent your net Social Security payment from decreasing due to premium changes. But the interaction between these rules can be confusing, and that confusion is exactly why letters go out explaining what happened. So if you receive a notice that seems to reference your Medicare premium deduction or mentions why your net payment differs from what you expected, read it carefully and verify it. Sometimes the notice is simply informational. Sometimes it signals a correction. Either way, you need accurate information. Now, there's another layer here that many people don't realize. When you have a more complex benefit situation, errors become more likely. For example, if you worked while receiving benefits, if your earnings record changed, if you receive benefits based on a spouse's work history, if you have dependent benefits involved, or if you have survivor benefits along with retirement benefits, calculations can become complicated. Complicated calculations sometimes produce mistakes. Mistakes can lead to underpayments. Underpayments can lead to correction payments later. That is not a reason to fear. It is a reason to check. Now, let's talk about outreach efforts some states have been increasing. In recent years, some states have created portals and enrollment systems where you can check eligibility for multiple programs at once. That can include energy assistance, healthcare support, property tax relief, food assistance, and other programs. This is helpful, but it only helps you if you use it. You often still have to apply. You still have to submit proof. You still have to respond to requests for information. And you still have to do it within the deadlines. Now, a word about SSI resource limits and counting rules, because people hear discussions about changes and they don't know what to do with it. Historically, SSI has had very low resource limits. Figures like $2,000 for an individual and $3,000 for a couple get mentioned often, and many people have felt those limits are outdated. There have been shifts in how certain resources may be treated in some contexts, and some states have modified rules for their own supplemental programs. What this means in plain terms is that depending on where you live and what programs are involved, someone who previously didn't qualify might qualify now, or someone who qualifies might qualify for a higher amount. If those changes apply to you, it can create adjustments. Sometimes those adjustments appear as a correction payment for prior months. But again, because rules differ by program and location, you should not rely on rumors. You should use official information and verify through official channels. Now let's talk taxes, because this is a practical point many people miss. Not all payments are taxed the same way. Social Security benefits can be taxable depending on total income. Some one-time relief payments have historically not been taxable at the federal level, but state rules can vary. Rebates and refunds can vary. Correction payments usually follow the same tax treatment as the benefits they are correcting. So if you receive a lump sum that is significant, do not assume it is free money with no consequences. A smart approach is to hold back a portion until you confirm the tax impact. Many people choose to reserve something like 20 to 30% temporarily until they can review it with a qualified tax professional or reputable tax software. That single step can prevent stress later. Now, let's be honest about why all of this feels messy. The system is complicated because it was built over decades in separate pieces. Different laws created different benefits. Different agencies handled different programs. Different states made different decisions. And the communication style stayed stuck in formal language that doesn't help normal people quickly understand what they need to do. And that complexity creates two things at the same time. It creates opportunities for mistakes and underpayments, but it also creates opportunities for you to protect your benefits by simply being informed and paying attention. You don't have to be an expert. You just have to be consistent. Open the mail, read notices, verify them, and ask questions through official channels. Now I want to give you a clear, simple plan you can follow starting today. Over the next few weeks, check your mail carefully. Open any letter that looks like it came from Social Security, a state benefits office, a Treasury Department, a Revenue Department, or a healthcare-related agency. Don't throw it away unopened just because it looks boring. A single page that looks unimportant can contain time-sensitive instructions. If you don't already have an online Social Security account, consider creating one through the official website. An online account can help you view your benefit information, your payment history, and sometimes messages tied to your record. It can also help you spot inconsistencies early. Then, visit your state's official website and search for Treasury, revenue, tax refunds, rebates, or assistance programs. If your state is running a rebate program, there should be information posted officially. Look for eligibility requirements, application steps, and timelines. And if you already applied for something earlier,